my god!
Hey, you is so nasty. Oh my god.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
Okay.
Impromptu really ghetto music video. Now I'm a bad witch. I'm a bad witch. Now I'm a bad witch. I'm a bad witch. Well, I'm a bad witch. I'm a bad witch. I'm a bad witch. I'm a bad witch.
Hello everybody, my name is Moon, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, it's Halloween! Again.
Please stop this madness.
Today we're going to be looking at October the month and the whole Halloween event to hopefully get us back on track to just having stuff called romaps. But knowing SSO, shit doesn't really go back to peaceful good times, live, laugh, love bullshit.
Burn, baby, burn.
So without further ado, let's start off with the first week. So just to get this short, rinky-dinky ass week out of the way, as you can see, this first week of October may look nice on the outside, but this was really shitty. To start this off, we had a quest line with the Bobcats, which in technical reasons, we haven't had one with them in a while, and was this nice and long? Was it a really innovative side quest? Did this have a good ass plot? No, this was a short ass quest over Loretta being a little shit. Like, I'm not even kidding. This shit was so short, it doesn't even deserve the shit I do for quest recaps. All this little shit was going to Tan, who was basically having a mental breakdown, and then decided to have a random ass Velociraptor sound effect, and regardless of what you choose, Tan points out it's Loretta. Loretta literally threw a childish tantrum on how Stacy had more people come to her training circuit than Loretta's itty-bitty racetrack. On top of that, you then proceeded to do the set new training circuit, which this part was kind of realistic. I mean, look, it just has horses in a circle. Oh my god. Y'all, I'm so sorry. I thought my virgin eyes just saw a crackhead Frisian.
In New York, I merely walk, hiding in my sock.
Okay, it was real. So, you do the warm-up circle, and then you basically do the two already existing Stacy daily races, which from the looks of it, it's just SSO giving it a better introduction, I guess, if you haven't done it already. We already know that the old introduction is still there when her races first came into the game. So, after doing recycled shit, you go back to Loretta, who's still having a childish tantrum, and even storms off like a child. You then go talk to her on a beach, and this bitch literally has a rant about being jealous, and then we had to literally just ease her down that she was just being an overactive little shit.
Know how I feel. Why would you say that? Like, you put me in such an uncomfortable situation. Like, you know I'm not happy. You know I'm trying to see if it'll work out here, and I know that it's not.
And just have her think of a new race. And by new race, I mean the old OG way of the Bobcats racetrack, which for those of y'all who are older players like myself, you would remember the race like this, except not a lot of jumps like this version. This was the only nice thing about it, if you really consider it nice, because it was nostalgic, but it was just filled with easy to pass around jumps, or jumps you're forced to jump. After the race, the Bobcats have a meeting, and what happened was people praised Loretta. Loretta apologizes to Stacy for being a little shit. They give you a rinky-dinky pink halter that has stats on it, and that's it! So, as usual with side quests nowadays, it's as neglected as a puppy in a shelter. Honestly, this was a shitty side quest because all this was just a short 6-minute quest over Loretta having a tantrum over not having a lot of people do her track. Really? Y'all really couldn't think of a better plot than that? That's like a small couple minute section of like an episode of like Horseland or something. I'm not kidding. If y'all haven't seen this show as a kid, go and look up Horseland. Go to a random episode. And I guarantee you will see someone having a bit of a tantrum and it lasts for at least a couple of minutes in the show. I can't. Oh my lord. But also, side note, that was a really good ass TV show that I watched as a kid. Okay, back on topic. I rate this little shit a 2 out of 10. Y'all really want me to do a side quest over Loretta having an issue with not having a lot of people come to her shit. No wonder, cause literally most of the people in the game don't log on unless if it's a horse, a main story quest, a sliver of a quest, or an event. Damn! We also had a 2 to 3 minute story thing with Holdsworth again on a letter, and then there's also new halters, and then also just the usual magical horse rotation, which was the magical
In New York, I merely walk.
Oh, hell no. So we had the crackhead dragon Frisian, so if you really wanted these lizards, go get their crackhead energy shit and then get out the dough. I'm kidding. Just avoid them like the plague. Your star coins will thank you. Now with that out of the way, let's get on to the good shit. And by good shit, I mean painfully chaotic shit that is the Halloween event.
A potato flew around my room before you came.
So let's look at the first 2 weeks of the Halloween event. Halloween. One of the most popular events in SSO that's usually decent. Just talk to the mustache crow, jump through a portal, watch a rip-off cast where the ghost stands for a TikTok, and now you can just ride around, enjoy the fall air, and just go do some activity. What the fuck? So as you can see, as SSO is trying to do their supposedly new event system, SSO decided it would be the perfect timing to try something with the Halloween event. And by something, I mean something disgusting. Since SSO wants to switch to the basic sticker tokens for currency, this would be the last time soul shards would be used to exchange for anything. So by having both currencies, what do you think SSO did to make this event fun? Did they add actual fun new content? Could we do magical Halloween shit? Could we do more than just grinding for shit out of our ass? No, they wanted to lock every fucking recycled activity that's portal related behind a shard paywall. Oh my god. So here's the thing, y'all. This kind of mechanic can be okay in games, if it's done right. However, there's a shit ton wrong with this to the point I had to rewrite this part of my script because this was one of the stupidest decisions SSO has ever made for an event. You see, each portal requires a range of needing 10 to 35 soul shards, meaning in total, you need 110 shards to unlock all the portals. But the problem is the only way you could get said shards during the first week was either randomly pick them up around the keep or tornado ban. However, every tornado gives 3 shards per tornado. So if you were to only do 1 tornado per hour, you would need to do it for over 36 hours to get enough shards. So what did most of the community, including myself, did, you may ask? We did the tornado bending glitch. And for those of you who don't know, there's a glitch with the tornadoes that I like to call tornado bending, as I said for the 3rd time now. It's where you can do the tornadoes repeatedly before they disappear after 20 minutes by relogging right after you finish collecting all the shards for the quest. Here's a visual representation of what tornadoes look like. Now we had to do the paywalls and do any of the recycle shit SSO put in the event to get to the Halloween sticker tokens. Over time, as we've perfected our ways of tornado bending, there's actually been a new method that was discovered that's actually faster, that I like to call the runaway tornado bend trick, where this time, after you finish getting the shards for the ghost, you run away for a certain distance from the area of the tornado, then you come right back and you basically act like a metal detector and start trying to sniff out the position of the ghost like it's phasmophobia. Once you find the ghost by seeing the icon of the mouse turn into a chat bubble, all you gotta do is just click it like it's no tomorrow and get the fucking quest and do it all over again in within an hour. We'll be coming back to the tornado bending in a bit because of another discovery that shooketh the community for a short period of time. But overall, this tactic they decided to do with blocking the portals basically choked people to grind the shit out of tornadoes to get enough for the portals. And even then, they just have recycled shit behind them. All they did with the Scarecrow race is they just altered it to have this ramp turn, which sort of helps. The Headless Horseman race is still giant squirrelless, RIP giant squirrel. The same old not so haunted trail ride with the only differences being able to get a new Raven pet, except this time the stone was in Dino Valley. Pumpkin maze hunt is still the same. And as for the pumpkin hunt, my favorite Halloween activity by the way, it got fucking destroyed. Basically, what they did is they turned it into a daily quest where you get an expired pumpkin pet on the first try or other tries of doing its daily quest. And you get Rider XP. And after a while of having Rider XP less events, for the first time in a while an event got XP for riders again, which makes me wonder if they had a change of heart or they were just trying to find another way to close the gap. But once again, we'll be talking about the Rider XP of this later. So overall, they made doing the hunts over and over useless because of not gaining anything if it's outside of the daily quest for it. RIP actually recording pumpkin hunting. I never thought I'd say that in a video, but here we are. You're only 3 years old and you got butchered for a supposedly better system. Shards weren't just used for the portals, they were also used for something else. And it's because SSO decided they want to add another new supposedly good activity that I like to call RNG cauldron mixing, and this will make a lot of sense later on. Basically, you do dailies for this perverted ghost Karen to gather ingredients and throw them in there to get the basic Halloween token stickers for the token shop, and also get some Rider XP from this as well. The problem with the cauldron is they put a new Postilion, or who I like to call the blueberry pumpkin pet, among a wave of recycled clothes from last year, some trail ride ingredients, and powders from their store. The thing is, during the first 2 weeks, no one knew how to get the blueberry pumpkin. And it got to the point where, along with other shit in the event, SSO had to post tips on their social media. But the way they worded the one for the cauldron was vague, because at first a lot of us thought it was a specific combo. Then it was thought you get it from doing the Karen daily quest, but it was actually a random chance from throwing stuff in the fucking cauldron. My ass even tested this, as seen here on my lovely flashcard. I had nothing else, okay? Because I was wondering if different combos had specific different items, and come to find out, it didn't matter. Because basically, you get the same items of one combo from a different combo. So I suspected that they wanted to make it RNG like it was a gacha game. However, the way they did it was really shitty because no one in the first week got the pumpkin pet. The other pets were so easy to get, but the blueberry pumpkin, no one knew how to get or no one was able to get during the first week. While a lot of people, including myself, got pissed on the shard paywall and seeing recycled shit everywhere, people discovered that the tornadoes each gave 5 Rider XP, and people didn't find out until either people made posts about it, find out from their friends, or find out when leveling up on accident. The problem with this was that, as seen here according to Jamie Darklake, even though this was good to gain Rider XP, this has basically forced people into now racing to get a shit ton of XP. And according to one of my friends of mine, if you were to do tornadoes for the whole entire duration of the event, if you started from level 23, you would then have to become level 27 by the end of the event. And this led to people regardless to fight to get as much Rider XP as they can, including myself, since I haven't been able to make it to level 23 in years, and that's just solely because I unfortunately wasn't able to get on some events. And this event has become the greatest exploit that would ever happen in SSO history that I like to call the Rider XP rush.
Duke, do you want the ball?
This would last all the way until Monday, October 17th, 2022, where SSO would announce on Twitter that they removed the Rider XP from the tornadoes in the hotfix and claimed they were gonna have another way to get shards without reputation, but to be honest, they didn't really do anything during that and left people either relieved or pissed. There's also apparently a horse XP exploit with the Gallopers race to where you could do it over and over again, but my ass didn't really know till it was gone. Overall, I was mainly pissed because I was one tornado run away from getting to level 23, but if anyone was wondering if I ever made it to level 23, I in fact did eventually reach level 23. Was it worth doing the exploit? Yes. Did I have any shame doing this regardless of the outcome? Nope. Besides that, as always, Halloween was buggier than ever. And hell, it might have been buggier than last year because in total of the whole time of me doing this event, I had crashed 5 times. And mind you, I rarely have issues with SSO in terms of crashing nowadays. The funny thing is, most of my crashes wasn't even in big populated areas like the tornadoes. My ass straight up crashed near nothing in the keep or just minding my business going to a portal. Other bugs that happen includes levitating on the abyss, finding a way into SSO hell, being able to walk through the ground, fall through the floor, get stuck in the ground, not be able to move when starting the trail ride, can't pick up shit that's behind the red firewall. This is an old bug SSO, you should be fixing this shit. Early starting positions in a race, and more. And by the way, that's just only week 1 of the bugs. The whole thing from cycle shit to exploits to bugs and now grinding the shit out of shards and ingredients was a shitty start to Halloween. But do you think it ended there? No, it got worse. Week 2, I'm just gonna first talk about the recycle and shitty parts first, and then get on to one of the few good parts of this event. First off, we have the return of Galloper's Gambit, aka exchange 3 shards to break the ankles of Galloper Ghost Thompson when he arrives fashionably late after over 20 minutes. And then you get 5 shards back in return, when really you actually get 2 if you exchange them back into the Gambit again. I don't know if this was always here, but it now also gives Horse XP, so you can do it if you want, but to be honest, you have to wait for this shit to happen anyway, so it's up to you if you want to do it for shits and giggles. Another thing they did is now talking about how the fuck you're actually supposed to do the pumpkin hunt and how it works now. Because like literally everything else with this event, they forgot to tell us how the new pumpkin hunt worked. Which, by the way, most of us had to figure out this shit ourselves. Next time, SSO, just fucking tell us what to do for the activities instead of throwing us in the dark to figure it out. Even other games are more clear on their events, and they only used a few lines of dialogue and they got the fucking message across real quick. Now the best part was the horses. Well, here I am again, sacrificing more of my state of start.
Welcome back, child.
Yeah, induct yourself into the Shire Circle, except I'm buying both. And frankly, I've already come to terms on buying horses with save of star coins since I'm still not gonna buy star coins from their money-hungry asses, so I don't need another revelation of wanting particular horses, okay? See ya, bitches!
Yeah, you have to go into a full jet like last time. Wanna go to another server?
Fuck it, I'm getting food. Instant, what a waste. Every time I gotta waste the smoke after this.
So as you can see, I once again have no shame in buying these horses because you're gonna see both of them in the video anyways.
Nice.
So far, these 2 are definitely the best magical horses we have gotten this year. Not just making a hot fire Shire, pun not intended, but also Laverna was a shocker that was hot to the point my ass literally went on the floor and my soul left my body when I saw the mask in the magical form in the second half of the spoilers. Both of these get a 10 out of 10. A good thing too, because I have no complaints on these, and the fact that they are both on really well done Gen 3 horses, they 100% deserve the 10 out of 10 rating. These will more than likely be the best Halloween horses up to date, so let's see if these 2 will hold the spot of being the best magical horses of the year, or if Christmas might actually grow a pair and blow this out of the park. As for other shit, still, nobody got the fucking Pestillion Blueberry Pumpkin. It was then announced that SSO will increase the fucking chances next week, since they now realize their RNG was so shitty that not everyone and their mom was able to pull for a Blueberry Pumpkin. This is probably one of, if not the most stressful, grindable free pets the community has ever faced, because the other pets were mainly grindable either through a checkpoint system, exchange currency for one, or exchange ingredients for a set recipe for one. Honestly, they should have just done a set recipe for this, cause it's clear their ass doesn't know jack shit on RNG, considering now they gotta increase the chances next week, because people have done this shit for over 100 tries, even up to over 500 tries, and still haven't been able to get it. So now on to the second half of the event, which was more eventful, but still stressful. And here's why. These next 2 weeks, we have a continuation of the Galford Thompson story questline with Linda. So since this was longer when combined, let's get on with the recap. So you first talk to Casper, and she talks about how she keeps hearing a ruckus, and you suspected that it's Linda. So you go over to her camp by Galford Thompson's asylum crib from last year, and this thankfully gives you the option for Linda to give a recap of the quest. Also, I do gotta comment on this here, but the recap cutscenes were really nice for this, in my opinion. And I wish they did more cutscenes with the recap showing visuals and not just the fucking character retelling what the fuck happened last time.
So my personal philosophy of rehabilitation...
After the recap, Linda discusses further with you that she's been doing more research on the whole previous ordeal and suggests that we need to go to Magnus Stonecutter for more info. So you and Linda head on over to Dino Valley to the Stonecutter Vault, and upon entering there, Magnus was nowhere to be found. But there was random shit on the floor, so Linda makes you go look at each random little shit that ended up on the floor and deduce where Magnus could have gone. And if it wasn't painfully obvious enough, Magnus went to Jorvik's stables, so you both then head on over to Jorvik's stables in the buggiest way possible. After searching in random spots, his bugged out invisible model was found in a corner by Sunfield Farm. Magnus basically sounded like an insane Sumeru scholar from Genshin Impact saying he's hiding from Galford Thompson when he was nowhere to be found.
He chases you, don't run, he walks slow as shit. Secondly, if you trip and fall, get your dumb ass back up!
So you go and investigate what Magnus was scared of. After more searching, you end up finding this ball of golden speckles that you chased down for a while, and after finally catching it, it was an ancient alien of some sort, but no Galford Thompson. You then head back to a now more calmed Magnus, and in Back to the Future style, you get transported into a realm of the past of ancient Jorvik times, and Magnus still thinks Galford Thompson is out there. He then tries to recall his memories, so we followed every step he's done forging-wise, building up to creating this badass bone-shaped looking hammer called the Splitting Maw, aka Rune Hammer, and Magnus was filled with a lot of guilt and regret despite the hammer being his greatest creation. Turns out it was made because Galford Thompson asked him to, based on an order the Jarl gave him, so then Magnus directs us to a runestone nearby that's behind Jorvik's stables. You then find this big ass runestone, and in a dramatic fashion, you break the runestone. What the fuck? According to Linda and Magnus, it was the very exact way Galford Thompson did the exact same way he did when he was ordered to break all the runestones throughout Jorvik, back when he was still called Gunnar Thompson. And it was also based on info regarding the Ellie Pukanga's comics for Halloween, if y'all remember that. It's basically this. Magnus thanks you for helping him remember everything, and he believes that Galford Thompson ended up the way he was today was because of him. He also explains why he accepted making Rune Hammer, and explains that since then, no one knows where the original hammer had ended up since then. Linda then asked if he could look at the crusty ass amulet we found from earlier, and as Linda looked at it, she said it felt familiar, so she ends up holding on to it for the time being. She then mentions that now there was more questions and answers than already prior. And now on to the story section of the 4th week. You go to Casper again, who once again complains about the fucking noise Linda is doing, and mentions she just saw Galford Thompson race the fuck outside of the portal. So you decide to go after him to see what he's doing, and it teleports you to fucking Hollow Woods. You then see Galford Thompson run the fuck out of there, so you decide to follow his tracks and see where he was going. And while following the trail, you run into Linda and a druid ghost named Broderick. Linda then explains that the amulet was actually from druidic origins, and after tracking for a while, she ran into Broderick and saved him from Galford Thompson since it looked like he was coming straight for his ass.
Really had no idea what's behind him. Oh, you...
Broderick then explains we should go back to his camp to hide, and before heading out, this then brings out the most glitchiest fucking bug I ever seen in SSO questing history. So I'm doing this Halloween quest part 2, right? And then look at this shit. You telling me, like, listen, y'all, I know Halloween is the buggiest time of the year, but it can't be this bad, though, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just sitting here and this bitch is just glitching the fuck out while I have this big boy out here doing this doll on me. Ugh. This is probably one of the most buggiest parts of a quest I have ever experienced in terms of questing in SSO. Like, Jesus Christ. Once you make it to Broderick's camp, turns out he's just living in the Spymaster's cave like a homewrecker, and while talking to Broderick, turns out there's a soul shard right behind his ass. So Linda distracts Broderick by talking about the birds and the bees as he went to collect each shard in the cave. After doing so, you confront Broderick and start interrogating his ass. Regardless of what questions you ask Broderick, you find out that he was the one who put the curse on Galford Thompson's soul to never be able to leave Jorvik when he dies and actually rest, which is actually really fucked up. You're only able to answer 2 questions, but based on what I got from it, his ass did it because of revenge on breaking the runestones, and he did it shortly after Galford Thompson bonded with Morgan. He basically started shit-talking Galford Thompson in Morgan's bond, calling it unholy and shit, even though it was just like any other bond the soul riders or any other normal rider has with their horses, and called it distasteful that Morgan lying ass. Some black fart smoke starts rolling in like a fart scooped out of someone's ass. Linda points out the chill and that Galford Thompson was coming right towards them, and now you're left with the decision to either hide Broderick by closing the door, choosing to let his funky ass get fucking taken and killed and shit, or be an indecisive bitch and watch what happens. So basically the same option as option 2. I went with the indecisive bitch option because I actually felt unsure even though I was Team Galloper, because Broderick was a bitch, and I was curious if he was gonna even do anything, but no. His ass just stood there as he busted in. Now, if you pick the door option, I'm going to use Star Stable Online Nights footage for this, but basically, Galloper Thompson comes in no matter what after he busts down the fucking door like Tatiana, and comes in anyways. I'm a fire in my leg on. Why do you keep giving us options to make world-affecting choices, but it's the same damn outcome no matter what, SSO? Why? Thompson then steals Broderick away, leaving Linda shocked, my ass just drooling over how that choice didn't even fucking matter. Linda wished we had more time to question Broderick and wonders what Thompson's gonna do to him, considering he was the one who cursed him in the first place.
I don't know, you better stop!
Linda directs you to go back to Casper since Linda decided she's not going to stay in the keep anymore since Casper's bothered by every little thing she does in there anyways. You talk to Casper and she explains that Thompson was actually in a good mood, that he was calm for once since he got Broderick's ass. And once finishing the quest, this part was where I was the most pissed off, by the way. Casper fucking gives you 2 options to either 1, keep the portals closed and work your way towards them to the fucking shard paywall, or fucking open them all up. And mind you, I grinded the first week all of these fucking portals and opened them by doing the tornado bending glitch and gathered what I could get from races and shit or around the keep. So seeing this pissed me the fuck off, cause this fucking shows they regretted doing the shard paywall thing in the first place. Jesus Christ. And that concludes this year's Halloween quest. So I'm gonna give the pros and cons of the quest, and then I'll go back into other Halloween stuff and features added, and then give my overall thoughts on this whole ass Painfulween event in its own dedicated section. First, the pros, which is not that much besides a few stuff. The cutscenes were really good, and it set the mood for the quest, and we got to hold a big ass hammer, well, sorta. But it was nice we got more than one part this time instead of that itty bitty time of gathering soul shards and following Morgan like last year's quest. Now to the cons. This was mainly dialogue heavy, but for a good reason, and it was alright for the most part besides the cringiness from Casper, but it mainly felt rushed. And that's mainly because since for the first part with Magnus, it more so felt like we glazed over his trauma from making the rune hammer, and it would have been nice to know what happened after everything besides him blaming himself. It just felt like that even though we got lore, we kind of just felt like we went over stuff that we already know from what happened from the comics. As for Broderick, I felt like he was unfinished, as I wished we could have found out more about his ass dialogue-wise when we had the chance to interrogate him. But it looks like the options just all lead to the same discovery and no new information besides really of what he did to Thompson. As I stated earlier, the world-affecting options, just like the Equestrian Festival with Sabine's funky ass, didn't affect the world at all. And as stated earlier, it's basically because every option leads to the same outcome of Broderick getting taken by Thompson. I would have loved to see a confrontation of Broderick versus Galford Thompson had I picked the indecisive option. Or if I had chosen to let Broderick get taken away, was kick his ass out to the curb so he could fucking die. And if I, or even someone else, if they actually wanted to save him, there could have been some sort of effort besides closing a door that's gonna get broken down anyway. All this did was bring the tension of what to choose and what could possibly happen if you made the choice, because it all just had the same outcome of Broderick getting taken away. The average player would think if he had saved Broderick, he'd be saved. Or if you actually let him get taken away, he would get taken away. It just basically makes people who pick saving him feel like they got a slap to the face because of bullshit like this. It wouldn't hurt just to see any sort of effect you do on this world besides a scripted event SSO. Just saying. And finally, I think we can all agree in Painfulween fashion, this shit was buggy as hell. From Magnus being invisible, to Linda not catching up in her own cutscene to the Stonecutter's vault, to then finally seeing her NPC walk over after the cutscene was over, to Linda again bugging the fuck out on my screen after picking up Broderick's funky ass. This was buggy and shitty, to be honest, and what mainly carried this quest was the new Galford Thompson lore that we could get and the visuals of the cutscenes and the making of Runehammer. As a quest in general, I give it a 5 out of 10 because even though lore-wise it was good, it didn't hold down the fort with non-affecting decision. Bugs being a little longer, but not by a lot, and the lack of things you actually do in this quest besides running point A to B. It's essentially a quest where I wish there was more of it, which is why I hate they never do a full quest for this event properly to where you feel satisfied until the next one. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about the Halloween stuff added to the last 2 weeks, and then a feature that's mainly affecting SSO dressage and even the racing community. For starters, SSO added trick-or-treating, but not the way you think. Basically, it's pay to win trick-or-treat, where basically the ghost who acts like Emma forces you to buy a mask, or if you already have one, luckily from the older times of Halloween masks, to pay 250 Jorvik shillings for a random mask that she asks for you to match with her. And if you didn't match your outfit, you get 2 tokens. But if you matched your outfit, you get 4. All this did was basically double the amount of the tokens, if you can't tell. But for some people, it still gave them just 2 tokens. So there wasn't a difference of doing Moorland or Silverglade depending on if you were a star rider or not in terms of the awards. It just felt mainly like a dialogue thing and nothing more. Next, we have a returned twisted version of ghost hunting, where this time you get to shitly seek out ghosts that the landlord dude tells you to go after. He basically gives you a shitty description on the location, but it's not exact. For example, the Firegrove ghost. His ass was basically described as going to the mountains, and people, including myself, thought he was gonna be in the fucking mountains. Turns out, this ass was just fucking loitering on the road to Firegrove Village. So no, he was not in the mountains as so. He was on the road to the mountains. He could have probably described this shit clearly, you know. Next, the ghost in Silverglade Village basically wanted you to play Among Us to find where the fuck she was. And the thing is, if you get the ghost wrong, you have to start all the way over and read through all the dialogue of the clues the ghosts give you on what the ghost looks like. And mind you, this shit made it longer. And here's the thing, I am all for when it's guessing and shit, but it's very fucking annoying when you have to go all the way and read through the same dialogue of the clues over and over again. And it also would have been nice to just look at the clues again so you can really get into what the fuck the actual clues were and not have us just restart the whole quest just to see the clues again. Like, Jesus Christ. Next, the South Hoof Ghost is basically finding the Welsh pony herd, and even then, it at first was just fucking running around by itself, and that took fucking forever, so then they put it with the herd, and it's just basically a guessing game to see if you could find the herd the fastest. Then basically for the other ghosts, you play hide and seek with the ghost child in Fort Pinta in one spot, and then you just have to give a blood sacrifice raven bone to a ghost dog. This probably could have been better if the instructions weren't so vague, but I did like it. I just wish there was a little more with this event and not, once again, being daily quests. I just wish it was actually looking for different ghosts and shit. Then, like any of the most popular events, they gave out free wallpaper art, and they had more expensive ass Halloween clothes. And now for the finale of this whole thing was the godforsaken Bastion blueberry fucking pumpkin. Because of how basically everybody and their mom couldn't really get the fucking pumpkin, they increased the chances once during the 3rd week, and after some deductions of finally seeing people get it, it was deduced by the following 2 combos that you could get the pumpkin. The first combo was B-Bomb, Candlelight, and Shards, and the other was basically Rubia in place of B-Bomb, and it's basically just doing those combos a shit ton. Some people also reported that a combo of only herbs worked, but I didn't see that happen much. As for me, I did the first 10 times of the new combo with B-Bomb in it, and then the second set with 10 times on the Rubia, and finally, after weeks of throwing shit in and then trying this new fucking combo, my ass finally got this blueberry fucking pumpkin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Was this worth my pain? I don't know, but I got a fucking blueberry pumpkin with blue purple stripes on it. And then like any other person, I flexed the pen in front of my fucking friends.
Kermit, what are you doing?
I'm dancing, bro.
What, did it really make my ass feel better? No, it didn't. It also didn't make them feel better. Honestly, we're just done with this shit at this point. I feel like this artwork done by Alina Silent Wolf perfectly sums up everyone's traumatized emotions after getting this blueberry pumpkin. As for other non-related Halloween shit, there was basically the return of the disgusting dollar store tree horses, aka beef jerky, cherry blossom horse, and vomit horse. And finally, the final thing they did this month was they added a turning mechanic that nobody asked for. They basically claimed this was supposed to make the turns smoother and shit and like realistic and shit. But honestly, this is what it basically did. For people in dressage, this basically made turns a lot more wider, so they now had to do new counts on it. And then for racing, some people have reported for the race in Starshine Ranch and also just in regular racing that it was just turning way too wide, so it didn't get a big enough uproar in terms of people having an issue with the turns. It just means a lot more adjustments, but it didn't cause a whole chaotic thing like the Sandline scandal and shit. At the time of this video, it hasn't been adjusted, but I feel like they keep making decisions that are supposedly modernizes the game or improves something in the game. But so far, most of those decisions have either had mixed feedback like this or received a lot of backlash like the Game Guard shit. So to this part, I want to ask y'all as a question if you want to answer in the comments, do you think there's ever been a time where SSO has actually done one of these Hail Mary decisions and it was actually a good thing they did? Or do you just remember most of their decisions mainly being shitty? Personally, I can't really think of anything at the moment, considering how after the Golden Age is when they started doing these kind of decisions without asking us, to be honest. So I don't really know, since most of this shit I've seen have been really shitty. Alright, now that we've gone over the whole Halloween event, let's get on to my overall review of this fucking painful event. So because of how painful this fucking event was, the critique for this is getting its own mini section. First off, the pros, which is not surprising that there's not a lot I liked about this event in the first place. For starters, the best thing they ever done was honestly the Halloween horses. And I can't believe the best thing that they've done for this year was the Halloween horses. I cannot stop praising these horses enough. They're so well made, both in the normal coats and magical coats in my opinion, unlike last year's fucking Halloween horses. These actually capture the theme of Halloween while also bring in some creativity. Not only one of my favorite chunky boy breeds get a well-deserved magical coat, but also the American paint horse was done beautifully. Next, I do gotta say, nice on giving us multiple free pets. My personal favorite is probably the white raven, because I already had the skeletal raven from last year. Even though one of them almost caused most of the community to go into a cardiac arrest, this was fucking great for the most part. Next, thank you for the Rider XP. I did wish the Tornado Rider XP stayed, but maybe if it was more regulated to where you can only do it a few times to get Rider XP, but after that, other chances would just be the shards, it probably could have been better. Next, I like the adjustment to the Scarecrow race since it's a little easier to make the turn, except it's mainly don't speed your ass off the cliff. Next, thank you for more Galbert Thompson lore, even though some of it was mainly from the comics already beforehand, but thank you for having more of a story quest event for once. Honestly, I think despite the issues I have with it so far out of all the event quests that I've done this year, this event has been surprisingly so far the best event quest done so far, honestly, and that's just fucking sad. And finally, in terms of activities I liked the ghost hunting event somewhat, despite the vague shit description, but it could have been more well done diverse-wise if it just had more places to look for ghosts and not just a designated area with directions that don't really give the full context. And now on to the cons, and y'all, there's a lot of cons. 4 stars to just rip off the fucking band-aid. I despise the poorly done shard paywall this year. This was so shitty. I'm getting fucking mad about this again. Oh my god.
Electric chair.
This was so shitty that even some of my friends decided not to do this event this year because of the paywall.
Michael, get up and get ready for school. No, I don't want to go, no. Please, mama, don't make me go.
It basically forces you to grind for hours on end, because if you were to do this, as stated earlier, if you just did this once per hour, you would have to do this for over 30 hours. It's not worth it. Do it from the tornado bending. But even then, I don't think our asses want to keep having to grind for hours on end on the tornado bending glitch forever. Just saying. I'm all for it, working towards stuff, but when you have the main constant source of the shards from the beginning barely give enough to actually get them in a more timely manner to do the activities for both people with a shit ton of free time or for people like me who have a life and have shit like college, job, etc. This felt like we had no choice but to grind to get this shit. And then when you slap the Rider XP rush on top of that, it honestly became some space race shit from the Cold War where you have to fucking get as much Rider XP as you can.
Oh my god! A tornado is forming! Bye! But we're going shopping!
I think what they should have done is increase the amount of shards you get to 5 to 8 shards from a portal, and with that, it could have been more regulated to get the shards for the portals if you're only able to do 1 tornado each hour, while still being able to tornado bend and get a lot of shards in just 20 minutes. Or if you just want to do the runaway glitch for it, you could also do that as well. Plus, to add with the Rider XP idea that I mentioned earlier, with only being a few times a day to get Rider XP from the tornadoes, especially if it's a bigger amount, it could probably help with closing the gap in Rider XP for once. However, even after going through all that, you still get recycled fucking activities. I think also a way to have done the portal blockage properly was have a quest line for it, where you actually do quests to fix shit in the keep, or even on Jorvik to get keys and shit to unlock the portals and do the activities. Think kind of like in other games where a crisis is happening at the beginning and you need to go to different parts of the world to stop certain issues. That's an adventure, and then you actually unlock each portal, something like that. It could also work as an intro for what's to come, especially with the Galbert Thompson quest, and this could have honestly made the event start better if this was just done properly. Regardless of my suggestions on this though, this was the worst decision event-wise they've ever done, and I wouldn't be surprised that when they gave that final option to either unlock all the portals or keep them closed to work towards them was a sign they regretted doing the portal paywall in the first place, because this shit received a lot of backlash on not just most of the event, but this was the main thing it received backlash on, was the portal shard wall. I'm not even kidding. But even then, I'm curious if any rework of the tornadoes would still lead to grinding shit, or not, considering after the portals the only use for them was the cauldron. And this segues into my next big gripe with this event. The cauldron activity was shitty from the RNG, to the recycled rewards from last year that you get from this fucking cauldron, to getting shit from the trails from this cauldron, to honestly, you might as well just put all the shit that you need from the quest in Halloween to get from this cauldron, because it just didn't really feel rewarding. This probably could have been better if it was just set recipes with different items instead of RNG randomly get shit. And I'm also fucking convinced the RNG for the blueberry pumpkin is really fucking low, because no one in the first 2 weeks got the fucking pumpkin. And then people only really got the pumpkin until the 3rd or 4th week when they increased the chances for this pumpkin twice. The only good thing about it was the daily quest that gave Rider XP for it. And that was it. All the rewards except the blueberry pumpkin pet just really didn't feel like it was worth going for. And it just mainly included shit that I sold a lot after getting it, because it was already either stuff I already had from last year or stuff that's just honestly useless. As for people who didn't have the clothing set from last year, it was hard to get small things like the feather activities or the leg wraps or saddlebacks, since it mostly was able to spit out the clothes and some of the tack more frequently. I didn't feel any joy with doing this activity because I didn't really feel like I was getting anything good from it. Next, as you can see throughout this fucking review, most of the activities were fucking recycled. This was just heavily recycled, and they only had a few new activities, and they were mainly just shitty. I didn't feel like I unlocked anything exciting. It was all recycled as fuck. It just felt like I was doing it to get Rider XP or get tokens to buy things from the token shop. Next, the trick-or-treat activity, as I stated earlier, was very shitty. All it is just pay for a mask to get more tokens that really doesn't give much an effect, and you just have to wear this rinky-dinky ass mask, and then even then you might not even get your fucking tokens that are more than that. You don't really get actual goodies like trick-or-treating actually is, to be honest. So I don't think this deserves to be called trick-or-treating with this annoying bitch in her crusty ass mask and shit. I wish they could have at least gave us shit like clothes and maybe even like horse food, or maybe just a chance of like star coins. That is pushing it a little, because we all know how SSO is. More graphic shieldings are just really something more than just 2 paper tokens. The purpose of trick-or-treating is to get a lot of shit, and all we got was losing money to just get a fucking rinky-dinky ass mask to just hopefully get 4 measly tokens. Even then, some people still got 2 as a bug. Oh, speaking of which, the bugs this year was immaculate. This was definitely buggier than last year's, because not only returning bugs came back from last year, but also more were discovered, such as the walking on air in the keep, glitching into the cauldron. We even got fucking buggier in quests in both weeks. Literally, there was a bug where if you did that Kelpie trail event on the haunted trail ride, your ass can basically get stuck on the Kelpie and you never get teleported back to your horse. Not only that, this was also paired with crashing a shit ton. And for my ass, as I stated earlier, I've crashed 5 times in this event. And most of it was mainly because of just doing my shit in Galloper's Keep. I wasn't even in a heavily populated Galloper's Keep either. I just randomly fucking crashed out of nowhere. Even some people had reported crashing upon going into the fucking portal for the keep, or it would just delay the time of actually getting the cutscene start. Jesus Christ, SSO. Please actually fix your bugs, or check to make sure that reoccurring bugs don't keep coming back. Next, y'all, they destroyed my fucking pumpkin hunting activity. Nobody had an issue with the way it was before. I do not remember anybody complaining on this fucking pumpkin. What's the point of doing the activity over and over again if you're just going to turn to a daily quest and just get 2 tokens from it, but not anything from actually hunting the pumpkins? What the normal pumpkin hunt had was the excitement of finding the next pumpkin to get enough shit in exchange for some good ass rewards. That's why I also loved the old way the Yule goat hunting was before it was put into the Northern Lights system, because it felt like you were being rewarded for your efforts while also getting some good shit and having a choice of what you wanted to get from it. This version felt like they took the formula that they've always had for the pumpkin hunt and shredded it into smithereens. All this did was give an expired pumpkin if you're lucky on the first try, and even then, some people didn't even know they got the expired pumpkin until later on, or people didn't really know that they were supposed to get the daily first to actually get something from the fucking pumpkin hunt, because people like myself went in thinking, oh, we're just going to be able to get shit from the pumpkins. No, we didn't get shit. All we got was pain and tears. It basically got reworked into a very shitty event activity activity design. And that's just sad, dude, because this is normally my favorite Halloween activity, and it got messed up. Next, the ghost hunting's main flaw was having the locations not really link up fully, as I stated from earlier. Firegrove's ghost was on the road and not the mountain, and my ass was fucking told his ass was fucking on the roads if I didn't look up earlier. Because if I had gone in, my ass was for sure gonna go to the fucking mountains and not find his bitch. Then, the other ghost that had this issue was the fucking dog and horse ghost, because you had to basically search for them in the area for fucking hours, trying to hope and pray you run into them. The horse ghost was easier to find than the dog ghost, because at least you know the horse is gonna be with the herd now since they fixed it like that. But as for the dog, you have to pray you run into his ass to give a blood sacrifice bone for him. As for the other two ghosts, the Fort Pinta one, I just wish there was different spots and different rounds for the hide and seek event, so it just didn't really feel like you had to go to the same spot. And then as I stated with the Silverglade ghost, I just mainly had an issue with having to go through the dialogue over and over and over to just go and figure out who the fuck the ghost is. I feel like fixing little things like that with the ghost hunting activity would make this shit a lot more fun. Next, I kind of feel like the clothes were hit or miss this year, since some costumes look really pretty and some costumes Jesus Christ. I only like one token outfit set, which is the one that I have right now on my main in this clip. And as for the other token set, y'all know I have a gripe with the dresses in this game. The only good thing about it was the pants, and that was it. Next, the quests, as I stated earlier when I rated the quests, the choices didn't matter at all. And if you only looked at what you can do quest-wise, just using the bits of lore you could get, it's just going point A to B with a rush story with wasting Budrick to get fucking captured in the end. And since the quests both weeks together is longer, but when they're not together, they're really fucking short, it really didn't give much. The only thing it had going for it was the pretty cutscenes in the lore we didn't already know. Finally, as always, this was still money hungry as fuck. And honestly, that might be just because of the fact that the fucking trick-or-treat event, Jesus Christ. Now, onto the questionnaire. This time, I did 3 because of this blueberry-ass pumpkin. I had 2 related blueberry pumpkin questionnaires for this. So with the first one, I checked in during week 2 and asked if anyone got the fucking pumpkin yet, because my ass didn't know how to get this fucking pumpkin. And based on the result, 82% said no, 16% said I don't know, and 2% said yes, which by the way, the people that said yes never told us how they fucking got it.
Hey man, can I copy your homework? Huh? Can I copy your homework?
No, you can't copy my homework! Darius bitches!
Then the other question I asked on this was follow up on if you got the pumpkin. I asked how'd you get it, and for those of y'all that answered, y'all are amazing. Most of these responses were either y'all didn't know how to get this pumpkin, or y'all expressed how frustrated you were with trying to get this little shit. And I don't blame y'all for answering this part like this, because this shit was frustrating. Y'all are fucking amazing for also pointing out the recycled shit of this event, and also sharing your cries with me on not knowing how to get this blueberry pumpkin. Next questionnaire was a follow-up on if people were able to get the pumpkin now during the 3rd week, since my ass finally got the blueberry pumpkin that week. So the first question was anyone able to get it with the chance increase? And as you can see, only 26% got the pumpkin. 74% still didn't have the pumpkin. So even then, this effectively shows that they had to increase this shit again because people still couldn't get it. And the follow-up question for those that got it was how many tries? Based on the results, it basically took people on average 20 to 400 tries to actually get the fucking pumpkin.
Let me just go in the bush and weep. Let me just go in the bush and weep. I just have to go in the bush and weep. Really. I don't understand.
Meaning, this shit shows the shittiness of the RNG of this cauldron because of solely on how long it took to get the pumpkin. As for y'all who were not able to get the pumpkin or who were still trying to get the pumpkin during the 3rd week, most of y'all basically made it to the 100s, or they just haven't been able to get it all week. So I think the overall conclusion of this was this event was shitty in terms of being able to get the fucking pumpkin. Finally, we have the overall Painfulween questionnaire. First off, I asked, asked, did y'all participate in the event? And this was because some of my friends decided not to do this event because of the shard paywall. And basically, 77% said yes, and 23% said no. So this event did turn off a good amount of people from this event. Next, did y'all think the Halloween event improved this year? And as you can see, we have a very strong hell no on this event. Next, I asked if people finally got the pumpkin after week 4 with the second increase, or if they got it regardless. And y'all, only 42% got the pumpkin, and 58% still weren't able to bring one pumpkin home. Y'all basically got the gotcha game feels of not being able to bring home a character from Genshin Impact. RIP my chances for trying to get Ayaka during May. Next, I asked how many tries it took for y'all to get the pumpkin event after the second increase, and thank you to those who specified if y'all got it during the first increase. But regardless, the numbers range from 2 to over 200 tries. Some of y'all also expressed about giving up on it. One of y'all were able to get a duplicate of it, which that's fucking lucky. Or y'all spent a really long ass time in a day to get the fucking pumpkin. So I'm still more convinced it was poorly done RNG because this was honestly ridiculous. Next, I asked how'd you unlock portals? Only 89% unlocked the portals by grinding for them, and only 11% did at the end of the Galper Thompson quest. Jesus Christ. Next, I asked where the changes to some of the Halloween activities were good, and only 7% said yes, 28% said I don't know, and 66% said hell no. So overall, most of the people didn't really like the changes. Second to the last question, I asked if y'all liked any of the activities in Halloween this year. Based on the responses I got, it was mostly none of them because of how grindy this event was, or it was just boring and recycled as fuck. And for those that mentioned something they liked, y'all mainly said you either like Tornado, the quest, the Rider XP exploit, trick-or-treating, some of the races, and the ghost hunt. And my personal favorite response girl, same, I don't blame you for loving the log out more, Jesus Christ. Overall, y'all summed up the limitations of this event, and that despite liking some things, it just felt like Halloween in SSO was ruined. Finally, as always, I asked, did y'all enjoy the event? And oh, won't you look at this. A straight fucking 81%, and only 13% said, I don't know. So meaning most of us fucking hated this fucking event. So, now on to the grading portion, which is gonna be actually different for once on this, word-wise. Activities, 1 out of 5. Honey, most of this was fucking recycled. Only 3 of the activities were new, and it just wasn't really exciting, bruh. Planning was 2 out of 5. Character incorporations, 2 out of 5. Purchasable products, event currency or not, is 0.75 out of 5. And that's solely because of the fact that half of the event token shop clothes were shitty, and combined with most of the clothes that you had to buy from the stores with real money or the Eurovic shillings, it was expensive as fuck and money hungry as fuck. Presentation, 3 out of 5. Quest, 2.5 out of 5. Horse XP, 4 out of 5. Rider XP. For the first time, after much of a debate on whether or not to include the exploit, which I decided to in this case, it's a 2.75 out of 5. And this honestly could have been higher had it been the amount was bigger, or if there was more ways to get Rider XP. Overall, the scores added up to 18 out of 35, which on a 10 grade scale, that is a 5.14 out of 10. This almost stooped down to the score of the Rainbow Festival and the sad Midsummer event, but this honestly could be a contender for being the shittiest event of this year, solely because of how not only this got dubbed as Painfulween, but just the whole event outside of the horses and quests wasn't really fun. This just caused a lot of pain and suffering and frustration, and that's why it doesn't even deserve to be called Halloween this year. With that being said, we've officially finished October the month. Thank God.
Yes, pizza.
I'm hoping November is less chaotic, but I don't know anymore, because right now with the Belgian warm bloods and the Pedder Fredrickson person, it might be chaotic again. Who knows, man? I want to thank y'all for doing the questionnaires, and also for just sticking through this disgusting ass event, since this also took my ass a while to edit this shit, paired with college shit. This took fucking forever. We only got 2 months of SSO shit left, which is crazy, and also really frustrating if you think about it, based on the stuff that's happened in previous months and the shitty decisions that SSO has made so far. So with that being said, thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!